bought this house. It has a Concord 4 alarm. I was testing things and noticed that the smoke detector test button didn't do anything on any of the 6 smoke sensors. So I came in here. It has a 2-wire smoke loop with 6 sensors on it connected to zone 8. And then it has some attic and a laundry room heat sensor. It has that loop connected on 7. I started measuring voltages, and with both of these hooked up, they only read like 6.3 volts. I took this off of terminal 8, and the voltage would go up to like 12.5 volts. So putting it back on, it would drop down to 6.3. Reading about the 2WB sensors, I think they need like at least 8.5 volts to work. So I was, guessing that the reason that they wouldn't show any kind of red light when I put them in test was that the voltage was just too low to make them work. So I started thinking that the panel was bad. Since then, I've been reading the programming instructions. I got the dealer code, put it in programming mode, and I found the option setting for 2-wire smoke was off. And I've read that you have to have that on before you learn the sensors. I did turn that on. I'll show you in a minute. And that by turning that option on, it's made this loop with the smoke detectors on it actually stay at 12 volts with them hooked up. And now when you press the test button, they do, whichever one you press goes red and stays red until you remove power from it. So the actual, board, I think is okay now. I think it's a programming issue. So let me show you what I've done so far in programming. Put it in programming mode, and first I'll show you the option that I found turned off when I first came to it. This onboard options, if you go in here under inputs, smoke verify off, I think that just means that it only needs to see a smoke signal one time before it alerts. I think that's supposed to be off. But 2-wire smoke was off. So I actually turned that on today by pressing 2 to turn it on and then pound to save it. So that was off. And once I turn that on, the loop stays at 12 volts with the sensors hooked up instead of dropping down to 6. So that tells me that the panel is recognizing that zone 8 is being programmed differently and works, where I used to think it was burnt up. So now if we back out of here and go back to the sensors, this is where I'm kind of confused. I have read that in the manual it says make sure that 2-wire smoke option is on before you learn the sensors, which I guess didn't happen. They were already learned with this option off before I bought the house. So if I go in here to sensors, I'm going to start with, we'll start with learn sensors. And so if I go in here on partition 1, sensor group 26 is what I read should be for, fire smoke detection. So if I go 26, it comes up right here and shows zone 8 or sensor 8, all house smoke, which is what it should be. You go up to 9, I've read that's where you would do wireless smoke detectors. But anyway, that's what it says there. So that looks right to me, but that was always in there before I found that the 2-wire setting was off originally. So where I get confused is, so under learn sensors, it shows that it's there. If you go to sensor text, it'll run through what everything's named. So, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's that laundry attic heat loop that does, when I disconnect that number 7 wire, it does set off the fire alarm. When you go to 8, sensor 8, all house smoke, which is what it should be and what it should be called. That's correct. So we go, up through everything else that's hooked up. It's there, okay? If you go to delete sensors, because I was thinking, well, maybe I just need to delete it and add it back since I turned the 2-wire smoke function on. So if you go to delete sensors and cycle through the sensors, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and we don't have 8. It skips right over 8. Goes from 7 to 10. So I can't delete it because it's not showing up in that list. Same thing if you go to edit sensors. Go to edit, you get all of the ones that are there. 7, 10, living room, skips over 8, which is all house smoke. So that's missing. So to recap that, learn sensors, partition 1, group 26 shows it. Sensor text shows it. Delete sensors, it's not there. Edit sensors, it's not there. So that's where I'm kind of stuck, not knowing what to do to get it to work. I've powered down the system, power and battery for 2 minutes or so. Powered it back up, gone back in and set the date and time, and still, if I pull off the wire for zone 8, nothing happens. It doesn't trouble or it doesn't alert. This is the closest smoke detector. Push the button in and it will go red. It'll latch red until you remove power, like I've read it's supposed to be. But the panel just acts like you've never done anything. Only other thing I can note is yesterday I did see how to put it in sensor test mode, which goes for 15 minutes and it lists all the sensors that are there. And you go around and open all the doors. As you open a door, that falls off the test list. And there is no smoke. So the heat, when I go around and open all the doors and do everything to make those go away, the only thing I end up with is the attic and laundry room heat sensors, which I can't really trip. But again, I think that the smoke should show up there. So I should, after opening all the doors, I think I should be left with the smoke detectors and the heat sensors as things on the test list, and that doesn't ever show up. So that's kind of where I'm at. Thanks.